First person became the future, and every shooter since would owe its existence to Doom, which launched almost 20 years ago. And 20 years ago, the video game landscape was all but alien to the one today. The platformer was by far the most dominant genre on the market. 3D graphics were just now becoming a reality, 16-bit revolutions like Star Fox giving but a glimpse of the next generation. And the average gamer was growing up, maturing into manhood, equipped for the darker subject matter that awaited in games like Mortal Kombat and Night Trap. And of course, the FPS, the genre that today has eclipsed the platform game in popularity, was nothing until December the 10th, 1993. id's anticipated app was released as shareware to a critical and commercial craze. Much like the misconception that fellow four-letter Pong was the first video game ever made, Doom was not the first first-person shooter to grace the market. In both cases, they were the ones to popularize the already established. The origins of the FPS date back to titles like Maze War and Battlezone and Spasm, going right back to the 70s. 1992's Wolfenstein 3D by id Software was the one that really laid the groundwork for the current FPS. This pseudo-virtual reality made you the hero more than you could ever be over the shoulder or viewing the profile of a jumping sprite. The story was simple enough for sci-fi horror and classic enough for a video game. You took control of an unnamed space marine trapped on a facility on a Martian moon, which, wouldn't you know, it has suffered a bit of a malfunction. Everyone on the base was possessed by the forces of hell, and it was your job to make sure that they did not find their way back to Earth. Just like Wolfenstein, the basic gist of the plot was to escape alive. A rudimentary arcade-era plot that has resurfaced umpteen times in the FPS since. Half-Life, you're escaping a facility. Half-Life 2, you're escaping a city. Halo, you're escaping a planet. Far Cry, you're escaping an island. Since id's early titles, escape has been one of the most consistent themes of the genre. Of course, shooting the living, or unliving hell out of anything that moved, was also the principal premise. But unlike id's preceding Wolfenstein 3D, movement became much more articulated. You could move between different levels by walking upstairs or boarding elevator platforms. Then there were the weapons, armaments made trademark in every shooter since. Pistols, rifles, chain guns, rocket launchers, the BFG, they were enough to vary the mayhem. The goal of each stage was just to make it to the end, marked conveniently with an exit sign. Easier said than done. Contrary to the linear level design of today, twisting tunnels and multiple pathways were an insurance of longevity. This was a maze. Doom also marked a huge leap in graphics. Far from just another typical upgrade in visuals, an amazing utilization of lighting and shadows increased the fear factor. You'd be walking down a corridor, you pick up a key card, and whoa! What happened to the lights? Oh my god, what the hell's going on? The sound was just as creepy. Making use of groundbreaking stereo sound techniques, you could actually locate the grunts of a nearby monster, which made turning one more corner all the more courageous. Today, these are all commonplace conventions, especially in the sci-fi horror genre. Back then, before the Resident Evils and the Dead Spaces, before games like Thief and Splinter Cell would make greater use of lighting and shadows, this made for one scary-ass game. Multiplayer was another story, a revolution in its own right, and one of the main reasons why the game became so popular so fast. The internet was brand new, remember, it was just starting to pick up speed with the average consumer, and upon Doom's release via shareware, offices worldwide became infected with death matches, coined for the first time, and online gaming unearthed its origins. Doom, of course, was not without its detractors. In the grand scheme of things, gaming was still infantile and dangerous to the conservative workforce, the morals of society. What rock and roll was to the 50s, video games were to the 90s. People were taking the medium a lot more seriously, for better or for worse. In conjunction with other controversial titles like Night Trap and Mortal Kombat, Doom's violence became the focal point of parenting protest, which would ultimately lead to the most intricate ratings board in any entertainment medium, the ESRB. Technically extraordinary and revolutionary, Doom has since been ported to countless consoles, and still remains one of the most classic, one of the most seminal, one of the greatest first-person shooters ever made. The video game industry was set down a course on December 10th, 1993. The market was about to drastically change. The day we all whipped out our big effing guns. The day millions of Doom guys embraced the FPS. December 10th, 1993.